This brings us to the end of the morning session, and we're going now to have lunch, and we will reconvene after lunch in an executive closed session, but to do so, that will require a motion.
Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we move to executive session this afternoon to begin to look at modeling various options that I think require us to have that executive session accountability.
Thank you. Is there a second? Yeah.
If I could speak against that. My concern here is that we're a public body. And Maryland has a statute which deals with public bodies and how we should or should not go into executive session. And as I look over the 15 underlying prerequisites for that, none of those have been stated, and none of those, in my opinion, are applicable. So I would object to it. Perhaps one of the arguments against my motion would be that we're not considered a public body. And in anticipation of that objection, let me state that we obviously are a public body. We're in the public forum now. We've been broadcasting, and anybody can watch some of the work that we've had for the past several months as this work group. And the work group, was asked to put together the work product for a specific public body, which is the Kerwin Commission. And there are some members here that are of that commission. So to premise that it might not be a public body, I think is absurd.
Well, to that point, the Attorney General's office has ruled that this group can meet in executive session. So we're operating completely within the guidance of the Attorney General. I'd make two other points. One is that we are at a very early stage. We will be putting models out there to see how the formulas would work. I personally think it would be a disservice to the public to see numbers that will have no real meaning, and it would be very confusing to see iterations that people would get all excited or upset over information that will never come to be. Secondly, this group, this body, this committee will make no decisions except in public sessions. So this is purely a working meeting where decisions will not be made, but will enable us to understand how the model works without putting out inaccurate, misleading information to the public.
I would point out to you that the article that references this says that this statute is to be construed strictly. We should have a copy of, presumably that's a letter of advice from the Attorney General, and that should be shared with the members here that we have. That way the Attorney General is on record as to saying where we are exempt in all of this, because I get that there's a lot of work to be done. Staff has done an awful lot of work, but when we as a group are going to have these conversations, it should be under the scrutiny of with the public being able to review it. So
and they will be when we come to the time we have to make decisions. Yes, Senator Ferguson.
Mr. Secretary, I imagine you deal with a lot of conversations about budgets and agencies being presented. Does that same standard apply when agencies are presenting budgets for the next fiscal year?
What is the point of your question? You're trying to question my challenging of this thing? I mean, you have conversations about budgets and requests and everything else that go on. This motion, that there's a motion and a second on the table, and this is in discussion. These are the reasons why I think we should be in public session. We're making policy recommendations to the Kerwin Commission based on certain aspects, and that we should be in public. So I'm just stating the reasons why I'm opposing this motion.
County Executive Glassman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there an advisory letter
Rachel, would you?
No, there is Attorney General's advice regarding the ability to go into executive session for entities such as this one. We did not get specific advice addressed to the chair, but we can certainly share that with you.
Yeah, because my only concern, Mr. Chairman, is that you say that we are going to look at a lot of models with a lot of different numbers, which we've kind of already seen already. But how will the decision be made which of these models come before us in our decision-making mode? I mean,
Well, you know, when
are
we
we
come,
going to be able to take copies of them at this meeting?
when it comes time to make decisions, any member of this committee is free to make any modification to the model that they would like to see. So when we come to time to a vote, everything will be on the table. And if you think the model needs to be massaged by any knowledge or information you have, you're more than welcome to make that motion.
But in the work session, will we have access to those models to take with us to have reviewed?
Not take with you, but you'll have access to the models.
So how can I take it back, say, to the MACO staff to run these numbers to see, you know, if they work or they need massage? If I can't take the numbers.
You can take whatever information you glean from these meetings back and ask for whatever advice your staff would like to give you. A further discussion? Yes, Dr. Thornton.
Is there any precedence for that we can glean from the commission's work? Were there occasions where sessions?
No, the commission is created by action of the General Assembly and is not able to meet in executive session.
I see. Okay.
Further discussion? Yes.
Just if I can wrap it up. Number one, the Kerwin Commission, and just to correct what was just said, the Kerwin Commission could meet in executive session if it were to meet one of the 15 criteria that's delineated. I haven't seen any conversation that took place along there where we would. There were no personnel matters, security matters, contracts, or anything along those lines. I just want to summarize my opposition to this motion. Number one, I posit that we are a public body. Therefore, the statute says as a public body, it shall be strictly construed. That's what the language says. We shall be strictly construed that we be in open session unless one of these 15 criteria. This does not meet any of those 15 criteria. We are told there is an advice of the Attorney General, but we don't have that in front of us. I've asked for a copy of that, and we're told that we'll be presented that. So, therefore, absent those details, this does not fit the criteria under the state law. We're going into executive session and excluding the public. Therefore, I'm going to be voting against this.
Thank you. Other comments? Okay. The motion is on the table. It has been seconded. All in favor, please raise your hand. You got that, Rachel? Likewise. Keep your hands up. Okay, the passes. So this concludes our meeting for today, and our next meeting will be a week from today at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much.